Welcome to Taking the Myth. I'm Stephen Knight. What? No, got that wrong. Got it wrong, haven't I?
You are Stephen Knight.
I am Stephen Knight. That is factual. Your topical... What is it? Have I just had like an aneurysm? Welcome to Taking the Myth, your topical, skeptical discussion show. That's the bit I was missing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fuck it. How you doing? You okay?
Yeah.
Nice upbeat start to the podcast. Shall I do this again? I think I should do this again, shouldn't I?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it again. Welcome to Taking the Myth, your topical, skeptical discussion show. I'm Stephen Knight. That's a fact. And joining me is Iram Ramzan. That's another fact. That's two facts right out the gate. How are you doing?
Full of facts, yeah. I'm very good.
Full facts, Taking the Myth.
Full fact. Not the semi-skimmed type.
None of this diet fact shit.
Yeah.
Full on type 2 diabetes inducing facts, motherfucker.
Calorific facts.
Calorific TTM for everyone today. We've got loads to talk about.
We do, Jesus. Why things always happening?
Yeah, if things could just refrain from happening.
The universe just stopped for a while.
Put it on pause. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if you remember a couple of episodes back, we spoke about the Golliwog pub controversy. I'm not sure.
I do remember
that's a weird sequence of words, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Do you remember the Golliwog incident? You know,
I remember. I look back fondly on the old pub Golliwog incident. Yeah, I mean, I think at the time you and I concluded, like, yeah, they're probably racist. It's not great, but should the police be barging in there and confiscating Golliwog dolls? Probably not. Should they be charged with a crime? Probably not. Are they racist dickheads? Absolutely. But
that's another fact for you.
Another fucking facts. Like a facts cannon.
I know. Just
Jesus.
Smashing it.
Well, another fact for you. The pub's closed down. Yeah. So.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's a big loss to the community, isn't it? I'm just looking at the article from Sky News, and it's got a big. It's got a big CCTV image on there from the pub of like 3 police officers confiscating these things from a pub. It's really funny.
It's a sign of the times, isn't it, when police have to come in to confiscate a bunch of dolls? Yeah.
So it's closed anyway. I'm trying to figure out what the reason is. I'm also trying to care.
I mean, I love how, the dolls apparently now form evidence. Investigation.
Look, so exhibit A and B and C. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's nonsense, this, isn't it? But I think whoever were running the pub have decided they've had enough and bailed, or they've been pushed, one or the other. I think a few of the people, like Heineken, for instance, dropped out, didn't they, as a supplier of booze to the pub, the White Hart in Essex, and a few others.
Heineken drops out, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, you don't want to mess with the Dutch. All right, so yeah, that's that. Golliwogs and pubs done. Yeah, it was the spokesperson for Admiral Taverns, who owns the pub building, said the licensees have made us aware of their decision to leave the pub. So they're going to look to reopen the pub under new management. No confirmation as of yet whether any racist paraphernalia will be displayed. I imagine not.
I mean, they'd have to be pretty stupid to do that again.
They would have to reopen it and just like literally rename it the Golliwog Inn or something.
I mean, okay, like we said, the police shouldn't have really been involved in that. It was a bit, it was heavy-handed, a bit ridiculous. But at the same time, you just think, I mean, what a weird hill to die on.
Yeah.
I want to proudly display my my racist dolls.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we've done our due diligence in following up on that one. There's something really important I want to talk about, actually, and that's Iram Kung Fu Fighting Ramzan. You've just published a piece in the Daily Mail, which is quite exciting, actually. This is you investigating the world of Brazilian Jiujitsu, BJJ for short. Something I've been really fascinated in for a while. I've always wanted to do it, but I've got like a glass back and I'm scared. Like my back's fine now, like, and it's fine for years, but then I'll bend over to pick up a paper clip or something and I'll slip a disc. Like I can go to the gym 4 times a week. I can go running. I can lift shit. I can do loads of things that, the weirdest thing will slip a disc. And I'm worried that if I'm on the mat twisting, I'm going to slip a disc. So tell me how you ended up doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and what did you make of it?
Well, first of all, can I just point out what an old man you sound like? Seriously, you bend over and pull your back.
It's too much football in my 20s that did it. That's what it. I mean, that's what it is.
That is the excuse of
war wounds. It's war wounds, if anything.
Every guy I know who's pulled his back always comes out there saying like, "Oh yeah, I was playing footy when I was younger. I was like proper hardcore rap." No, you weren't.
But to be fair, like, I'm still active. Like I say, gym 3 or 4 times a week, and I go running. So I am quite fit. But it's the thought of being on the ground, twisting, wrapping legs around people and twisting. I think that might just do it. But I mean, what was your experience? A lot of on the ground twisting, or what?
Well, see, the thing is, I initially took up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in 2019, and I did it for several months. And it is very intense.
This? I feel like we've spoken about this.
I'm sure we did, because I also used to do Krav Maga sessions as well, which were really intense. Like the Zionist Krav Maga, and then the center where I was at decided to offer jiu-jitsu lessons, and I thought, oh, okay. I mean, I've always wanted to do a martial art. Shall I try this? And it is quite sort of intense, and if you have an ego, it's probably something that you shouldn't do, because you keep losing and whatnot.
Yeah, you think,
God, can I do this? But it's less intense than boxing, because this way you don't get punched in the face, which is good.
Always a plus.
Always a plus. And obviously then we had the pandemic, and I thought, I don't want to do remote Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because that makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Zoom BJJ, that's
Zoom chokehold. Basically a couple of weeks ago, I had the pleasure of going to Roger Gracie's Academy here in London. And for those of you who don't know him, he is an absolute, a legend. He's 10-time champion. And he has his own academy.
Stop drooling.
I was a professional, okay? I was not drooling over this extremely hunky, handsome man. I was purely focused on the martial arts side of it, I'll have you know.
Some of these photos in your article are fantastic. I'm going to put this article in the show links for anyone. Iram's rocking, in one of the photos, she's rocking like a blue G, which you look quite fetching in, by the way. I would wear that all the time. I don't know if you own that or not.
I do. That is my very own gi. I got it because I thought.
Gi, I just called it G, didn't I?
G.
Yeah.
It is my own. And I wanted to go for blue because it's my favorite color, and that's the most important thing.
Honestly, I do my weekly shop in that if it was mine.
I really should go on it, but I think the white belt would ruin it because everyone would be like, "Oh, bless her, she's just."
Okay, yeah, a bit of judgment. But this image is you basically pinning down Roger Gracie, essentially straddling this man on the mat, and you have got the biggest fucking grin I've ever seen in my life.
The grin was purely because I had, successfully
professional
maneuver. It had nothing to do with the fact that I was on top of this hunk at all, who smelled quite nice. Anyway, so here I was. I have to say, he was absolutely great. The way he showed moves,
I'm telling you right now, this image is going to be the podcast image whole placeholder when it goes out.
But he was going through some of the moves, and especially as a woman, when you get attacked, he says that you're most likely to be grabbed by a man, or a man will get on top of you, and this is how you should get out from under him, and how you can sort of avoid that, or get out of that situation. And that's why quite a few women do take up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's very good sort of for on the ground grappling. And I know that I know that you're saying that you're concerned about your back, and I've had sort of ongoing neck issues for a while, but I've been told that it should be absolutely fine because you're getting to stretch it a lot and you probably do become a bit more flexible. But it's something that you should ask about for sure. And, it's definitely something I want to go back into because, it's a really good skill to have. And one of the ladies there was telling me that one of the reasons why she likes doing jiu-jitsu is because it focuses her mind. She goes, you don't think about anything else while you're going through it because you have to be in the moment. You have to think about the move. You have to think about what the other person is doing, how to get out of that situation. So it's really good for focusing your mind. And I thought, if you're the type of person who's got a million things on their mind, it'd be a really good thing to do.
You've sold it. I tell you what, I'm inspired. June, I think, is going to be the month where I'm definitely going to go and register at my local BJJ centre for sure.
You're gonna get your GI out.
I'm gonna get my G out. Yeah. So what's interesting is you're saying there is like a lot of it is about going to ground on the mat, because if you look at people have this really unrealistic perception of how fights play out in the real world because of movies and things like that, and it very much is, like, especially between two men, it's like a push, a shove, a random swing, and then they've both got hold of each other and they're on the floor. And that's how it happens all the time with fights in the real world. And what BJJ basically shows you how to do is how to overpower someone on the floor or get out of a position where you are overpowered. But it's fascinating what you're saying about the ego there, because they always put this massive emphasis on the fact that when you first join, it is all about being submissive, really, isn't it? Or being overpowered.
You have to get over that. And I think that's what Roger was saying, that it's easier for children to learn because they just get right into it. They don't really care. They're used to being in close contact, whereas for adults you get all these reservations, don't you? You become a bit
self-aware, don't you?
Yeah, you do. So it's, and especially as women, we don't want to be that close to men we don't know, especially. So obviously, like, that's why women only classes are quite popular. And as adults as well, we hate getting things wrong. We do something, we think, oh God, why didn't I get it? Why am I not getting this? Plus children, it's a bit different. They're always willing to learn. They have
fucking
fun.
Stupid anyway, aren't they? So I mean,
they don't give a shit.
Shit, fucking
look at rolling around on the floor.
Stupid, useless little twats. Anyway, sorry, I just random train of thought.
But we've learned that Stephen hates child hater. I mean, I think it's such a great skill to learn. And what's funny is a lot of people in the office didn't really know who he was because they're not really into MMA.
Not cool, are they? Not cool.
They're not. G's. Whereas, other people that I know socially, they're like, oh my God, you met this legend. Oh, he just changed jiu-jitsu forever. He changed MMA fights. Oh, he's just such a legend. So
yeah, and that's exactly every MMA fight. That's completely revolutionized MMA, hasn't it? Every MMA fighter now knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's like a weapon in their arsenal. I think Sam Harris wrote a lot about it, and I think he likened this idea of being dominated to like allowing yourself to drown at first, which is quite a good metaphor for it. It sounds terrifying, but I suppose, it builds character, builds strength, you learn something. It's very chess-like, isn't it, in case of having to think?
That's it. And he plays chess. And I thought, well, that makes sense, you playing chess, because, it's like with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you have to think about certain moves, and it's very strategic as well. So that makes sense.
Fuck it, let's just talk about this for an hour.
Let's just go. Just get our J's on and
getting G with it. If anyone wants to read Iram's excellent review of this and look at these incredible photographs, the article is now in the show notes. Can't recommend it enough. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna. Are you gonna keep up with it?
I should definitely. I'm gonna see which club is nearest to me and do it. I mean, I should ideally go back to Roger's Academy because it's the best.
Yeah, I bet it's expensive though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a problem. I'm definitely going to take it up. Then next time we can meet each other, we can just throw down. What do you reckon?
Yeah,
no, actually, I don't.
I'll just choke you.
I was going to say I don't think I'll live it down being choked out by her. Actually, so maybe not. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll just meet up and wear our gis, and that's it.
Yeah, go for a drink in our gis. All right. What else are we talking about? I mean, this guy's really getting on my tits at the minute, and I think I tend to remain relatively calm and quite patient with a whole host of different worldviews that are a little bit fringe and nonsensical or based in conspiracy or misinformation. However, that goes out the window straight away when it's put in the context of anti-vaxxers. They infuriate me no end, to the point where I have to count to 10 before I say or write anything about it. And this brings me to Andrew Bridgen. Are you familiar with this twat?
I am, yeah. So is he the Northwest Leicestershire MP?
Damn right he is. Well, he is.
Tory MP.
Yeah, he's kind of been expelled from the Tory party, hasn't he?
Because he's joined he's joined Reclaim with Lawrence Fox. I mean, why would you join that party? It's just such a non-entity now. I mean, it's not even relevant anymore.
It's also a case of like you're running that party and you're looking for people to boost your credibility and reach, and you think, oh, we'll get the anti-vax conspiratorial crackpot that the Tories have just kicked out.
We'll just get that nobody that no one really knows.
Yeah, I mean, he's enjoying his 10 minutes of fame right now. He's doing the tours, but he's mostly getting picked up by GB News. They've got a big crank problem over there. I wrote about that not so long ago.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I will say, like, we can argue all day about mandates and whatever. There's loads of great points about against vaccine mandates that I'd agree with. There's loads of great points about lockdown I'd agree with, masks, shit like that. And I do think you should look very carefully at the data when it comes to vaccine safety, and we should look and investigate any lead. But that's not what this guy's doing at all. It's just like, you see what he's saying, and it's the greatest hits of anti-vax conspiracism, to the point where he's openly saying now that it's not enough to say that the vaccines are unsafe rather, and they're killing millions, which is a claim that he's made. But he's also now saying, as a matter of fact, the United States Department of Defense is behind not only COVID but the vaccine.
Of course. You know.
So it's a Fauci-led USA Department of Defense conspiracy theory, apparently, as well. So that's what's the strange thing about these people. It's never just look at the data. It's terrifying. It's look at this misrepresentation of my data. Oh, and they're all out to get us. There's some shadowy cabal of people for whatever reason. I mean, the data on how many lives vaccines saved is quite emphatic. It seems a very odd flex to carry out some sort of population cull by saving millions of lives.
Yeah, but see, that's how clever these people are, Stephen. You know, that's how they do it. They save millions and then, kill like a handful.
I'm just going to pick up on one quick point on this one, because what's annoying is if you're someone who commentates a lot or speaks a lot, you're going to get something wrong eventually. We've all done it. And when it's pointed out what you've said's wrong, I stop repeating that thing because I don't want to be wrong anymore.
Yeah, but we never get anything wrong.
Well, apart from that, obviously. But every time he gets near a camera or a microphone, he repeats the lie that the COVID vaccines didn't complete stage 3 trials, clinical trials, which is completely untrue. They completed the stage 3 clinical trials in like November 2020 before they were rolled out to the public. These are the basic safety aspects of the trial. Now, once they're complete and they're rolled out, they then go into phase 4, which is a monitoring phase, which is just a case of, let's just keep an eye on it, see if we can learn anything else. And it can only go into that stage after the first 3 phases have complete. What they've done, Iram, is very helpfully number these phases, so you know which phase you're in. So if you can count to 4, you can understand this pretty well. Andrew Bridgen's really struggling with it. So he went on GB News and basically repeated this again. And the host corrected him live on air, which is nice to see. Nana Akua, she pushed back and basically told him that they actually did go through stage 3 trials, and she's got so much abuse online for this.
From his fans.
From his fans, and he's then tweeted out a document saying this is proof they didn't, and demanded an apology from her. And when you look at the document just demonstrates that the vaccines are in stage 4 of the trials, meaning they've completed the first 3.
So basically, this guy can't count to 4.
He can't count to 4. That's it. And it's just what's irritating me a little bit is that how tribal this is getting. So these mistakes don't matter to people who have got an agenda to push. I'm very careful about this. So if I've got a pet political interest, perhaps it's Islamism, perhaps it's the overreach of gender ideology at the minute, conspiracy theory, things like that, I will gravitate towards people making sense. But I won't if they're making massive fundamental flaws of logic, reason, and spreading misinformation in the style that this guy is, I would not appeal to them as a source, and I wouldn't trust them for information anymore. These anti-vaxxers are so tribal. They don't care how much he's getting wrong. All they care about is that he's pushing a particular message on vaccines. And I honestly don't know what the solution is to any of this. We can't ban them, obviously. It's anti-free speech, but it is insane. It's possible now to live in multiple universes thanks to the internet.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you will always get some crackpots like that, but thankfully most people realise he's chatting shit. I mean, he has been kicked out of the Conservative Party for it. He was challenged on GB News for his views. I mean,
imagine being too much of a wanker for the Tories.
And GB News, yeah. And I mean, but the thing is, though, what I just find astonishing is that he compared the vaccines to the biggest crime against humanity since the Holocaust.
I mean, that kind of hyperbole should be a red flag, shouldn't it, straight away?
It's always like, I don't know what I've noticed. Anytime someone's going to push a conspiracy theory, they will always reference the Holocaust. They'll say, oh, this is the worst thing since the Holocaust. And, this is on par with the Holocaust. And, can you not describe something as being bad? Why do you have to say it's the worst thing since the Holocaust? And when they say something like that, this person is not reasonable.
I think out of anyone on planet Earth, Jews probably say, oh, for fuck's sake, more often than anyone else. Thanks to this kind of nonsense. Because there is a Holocaust or Nazi comparison every hour now, it seems like rather than just make a rational, coherent point, they must reach for the most incendiary, epic crime against humanity ever as a comparison to sort of cut through. It's almost like they're overcompensating for not having anything of substance to say.
Yeah, they just think, okay, think of the worst thing that happened in recent history, Holocaust. That's it. Let's name check that, and then
shout out to the Holocaust,
and then and
big up my Auschwitz. Yeah.
Oh God, we're so getting cancelled. But the thing is, I've noticed some of these conspiracy theories. Not only do they, reference the Holocaust, but then, some of them, not Bridgen, but these crackpots. They'll be the type who insist the Holocaust never happened. So they'll be like, oh, this is like on par with the Holocaust. This is a Holocaust and stuff. But the Holocaust back then didn't really happen.
Yeah.
Right. Okay then.
It's mental. And I think what's funny about conspiracy theories is that you can't really just be a dabbler. You kind of accept them all as wholesale. And I would be genuinely interested for somebody next time they get Bridgen near a microphone just to ask him about the moon landing, where he
oh my God, yes. If they believe in one, they will guarantee they believe in all the others. So they'd be like, oh, Twin Towers,
Yeah, exactly. 9/11, JFK.
Oh, it's the Illuminatis.
That's it.
I
thought
Illuminatis was a whole, that's the kind of stuff that you believe in when you're at college because you want to believe in something. So you think, oh yeah, it's like about 10 people controlling the world in it. Oh, it's Illuminati. You can see it on the dollar sign.
Yeah, I love the fact that this is super secretive, covert world organization, but they're leaving you subtle little winks on fucking banknotes. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to be discovered, but yeah, check this out. Ooh, mysterious.
I mean, if they're leaving banknotes, I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah.
I'll be all for that. But, that's the kind of stuff that you grow out of, when you're no longer 18.
Even if you're not sure what he's saying is true or not. How he thinks should be a massive red flag. So I actually wrote a Substack about this, so I'll put it out. But here's his words verbatim on a tweet, and this is from the 12th of March. So he's put, "I can confirm that during my visit to Washington, D.C. last Christmas, New Year, I was informed that the US DoD were responsible for both the virus and the vaccines. Fort Detrick was named, also a facility in Canada. By the end of the month, I expect to see the start of criminal proceedings against the many politicians and officials who are responsible around the world." Now, this is the 12th of March. We know what? It's the 21st of May. Not many criminal proceedings against the many politicians and officials around the world, strangely. So that's not happened. That's the easy point to me. But when he was pushed on this, like, Fraser Myers debated him on GB News, and I'm glad he brought this up. When he was pushed on this, he was asked how he confirmed this information, and he basically just said a few people there said it to him when he was in America.
Oh,
so he's publicly claiming a conspiracy of such huge proportions that it would go down in history as one of the defining moments of our age. A collusion between the American state and Canada, in fact, to unleash or create or engineer or weaponize a virus and a vaccine against its own citizens. And he's happy putting that out as fact publicly. And the sum total of proof he has for it is that somebody said it to him in America.
Well, I mean, that just proves it, you know.
I want to be positive and say he's going to have his 10 minutes and then disappear. But people like David Icke are still touring and raking in money.
Oh, Jesus Christ, what's he up to now? Oh, my, how much money is he raking in?
He sells out auditoriums, I'm sure he does. He has all these events and I think people...
God, we are in the wrong job, Stephen. We need to go out and just chat shit. I mean, we do chat shit, but I mean like proper nonsense and just sell out auditoriums around the world. We'd be raking it in.
The difference is, I think you're absolutely right. So, because we're not cynical, what we
I mean, except we have a moral compass. So
that's it.
Wouldn't actually do that.
I talk about anything and everything I want to that interests me, and sometimes I piss people off. Sometimes people agree with me. I'm fine with that. But what these people do is they find a groove and they milk it for everything it's worth, and just keep on trucking in that one single direction and keep affirming. And they find the same amount of people that'll support them, and they just keep feeding them what they want, and will never do anything to piss them off or lose support from them. And that's what they do. Whereas today, people are giving me shit on Twitter at the minute because I'm defending the right of, like, you know, I don't know if you've seen the Just Stop Oil protests in the road at the minute.
God, yeah.
We've spoke about these fucking fools. What they're doing is illegal. The police should be ripping them off the road and throwing them in a police cell. That they should do their job. I also understand that in a society where the police aren't doing their job properly, it's going to increase the chance that somebody's going to do something stupid. So I understand it, but I'm still like, you can't just wade into the road and assault people, even if they're blocking traffic. That's my line. I don't know if you saw this footage that just came out of this. There's this bunch of, like, they look fairly elderly to me, Stop Oil protesters walking down the road. Some guy, clearly pissed off and frustrated, comes out of nowhere, starts tearing down the banners, yeets some woman to the floor, like proper throws her to the floor, and then grabs some guy's phone and launches it into a different postcode area, which is, it's quite, yeah. And I get it. I understand the frustration, but I'm kind of like, that's still assault. Yes, the police should, that's my, I mean, I accept the argument, but I'm saying, like, just because the police aren't there doing their job right now doesn't mean the average person can go and start shoving people. Like, this is a guy who was just angry, assaulting people. He wasn't trying to drag people out the road. He shoved someone on the floor. He's tearing down signs. He's launching people's phones, things like that. I get it. I understand the frustration, but I think we have to say, if we're going to start celebrating that kind of behavior, someone's going to get killed.
I don't think people are necessarily celebrating that.
Some were.
Okay, well, I mean, some would, but what it just shows is how, you know, there's so much frustration with the police right now. I mean, we'll probably get onto that with other topics later, that they're not doing what they should be doing, and they're focusing on absolute stupidity. You know, they're allowing these idiots to block public highways and streets. I mean, just just earlier I was sent a video of climate activists in Rome, and they were pouring black dye into the Trevi fountain.
Holy fucking shit!
That could potentially damage that feature, and you have to think, will they be prosecuted at all?
And I tell you what, it'd certainly take more than a day to repair it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why
you missed that Rome wasn't built in a day joke.
I just got it now. Can we rewind and go back to it? Oh my god. Anyway, so but the point is that people are just so fed up of authorities not enforcing the law when it should be, and they're just going around meddling in stuff that, like with the whole Golliwog situation. These people are obstructing highways, they're stopping people from getting to work, they're stopping ambulances being taken to hospitals. They're doing more harm than good. It's one thing to demonstrate, to talk about climate change, but it's quite another to do something like that. And I think that's why people were cheering on members of the public who just decided to take matters into their own hand, because they're just sick of it now.
Yeah, I think the government hasn't helped themselves either when they tried to introduce new legislation to crack down on protests, and a lot of it was quite draconian and quite ill-defined and could have applied to numerous things. And I just saw that as an encroachment on protest in general, whereas what they should have done is just enforce the existing laws we have to remove people from obstructing traffic on the road and things like that. And yeah, if people do, people are reaching the end of the limits, because I think we pointed this out before. I mean, there's a lot of class issues in this, strangely. We don't often talk about class, but it does appear to be like the average everyday person trying to get to work who these goons seem to be inconveniencing the most. And they're just not having any of it, no time for it. It does seem like a very middle class pursuit. It's either people who are clearly retired or young middle class students that seem strangely drawn to this type of thing. Lots of Tarquins, greenheads, Tabithas.
Yeah, going around. I think was it Fraser Nelson who wrote a piece in the Telegraph, who's saying that a local council was offering therapy or counselling for people who were worried about a climate crisis. And I thought, seriously, this is what we've got to now. These young people think there's like an emergency and things need to be solved very quickly. Otherwise, the planet will just, be obliterated within days.
It's a doomsday cult sometimes. And you're speaking to somebody who's like, I would class myself as an environmentalist. I believe in climate change. I think humans, are responsible for a significant amount of the causes of it, and there are things we should and can do. Clean energy.
I think sensible people acknowledge that, we do need to make some changes to our lifestyle. Think about the planet more. But this, as you said, is a doomsday cult. The planet is not going to die anytime soon. And if that's how you feel, go live in a mud hut somewhere.
How many times
don't have electricity?
I have heard so many, I can't remember the amount of times someone's predicted that there'll be no more fish in the sea in 2017, then it becomes 2022, then it becomes 2025, and it's like the world will end in, and it's like it doesn't come around, and you really just delegitimize your own movement, and you put off sensible people and all this just stop oil, just stop it. Oh, okay, great. Now what? No industry, no heat, no food. No, what do we do from here? What is your backup plan? No, don't stop oil. Let's have some oil while we figure this out, shall we? It seems like a very left-wing fuck the government attitude.
It is. I think that's part of it. I think, some of these things that are happening right now are partly because they want to stick it to the Tories. I mean, I get it. They're quite shit right now. They've been in power for 13 years, and still they don't seem to have really solved anything, and they keep going on about migration.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
which have gone up. I mean, you're the Tories.
it's your job.
All over that.
You're in they keep whinging about illegal immigration as if
do something then.
Something. It's as if someone else is imposing this onto them. When it's like, well, this is your job. Yeah. Yeah.
Bill Gates is sending the immigrants over.
Yeah, fun on George Soros boats. God.
I mean, speaking of police, I wondered if we should discuss the anti-monarchy protesters at the coronation.
Yes.
Did you watch Charlie Boy's coronation?
I zoomed in and out of it. I did have it on in the background because I thought, I mean, I'm not interested in monarchy or royals, but it is a historical event, and I thought
I'm all over it. To me, it's like a big fat Asian wedding. You have all these elaborate costumes. You have so much fucking gold.
Silly hats.
Is it necessary to have all that gold and silly hats? Yes, you have all these people and relatives invited that you don't even want there, but you have to have them there because it's necessary. And everyone's wondering, why on earth do we do this to ourselves? Why do we have to do this?
Yeah.
Every single time, it's such a waste of money. It's too extravagant. But then when it comes to it, you have to do it now. It's tradition. Get on with it. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, we'll talk about the anti-monarchy protests in a second, but because to pick up on that point, you just said something very interesting there, because I think
Asian weddings.
Not just that, but the idea of it being elaborate and very expensive. Somebody was saying, I can't remember who I read. It could have been Rod Liddell, maybe in The Spectator. I'll find out. But they were saying, like, the thing about the royals is you can't be a diet monarchy. You have to be all in.
A full fact.
You have to be full fact monarchy. Otherwise,
not semi-skimmed.
You become open to attack, and if you become like weaker and irrelevant, people will say, well, why do we need you at all? And I think they'd be right. So it has to be a case of it has to be full fact monarchy or nothing, really. And the idea that Charles is potentially trying to be a bit more of a Tesco Smart Price monarchy. or rather than a full-on Waitrose monarchy.
But then you have to think to yourself, if you want to be relevant, shouldn't you be Tesco Smart? But shouldn't you be a bit slimmed
down? Isn't the point of the monarchy is that they should never be relevant? They should always rule above us, and that's what makes them the monarchy.
That's the other point. It's. I mean, you could argue it either way, couldn't you?
Yeah. I think once you have too much access and they become like celebs and the mystique's whittled down and they're not,
and we don't want them to be celebs, because when they start acting like celebs, they get ripped to shreds for it. Look at Harry and Meghan. Look at what's he called, one of the Queen's grandsons was selling like Chinese milk or something, and
what?
Yeah, do you remember that weird? I can't remember who it was.
What the fuck is Chinese milk?
I don't know.
Is that some new street drug that I'm not aware of? Yeah, mate. Sort you out half a bag of China milk, pal.
I'm gonna look it up because I'm trying to remember who the royal. That's it. I knew I wasn't lying. Oh no, it wasn't Chinese milk. Sorry, it was. Oh no, it was a Chinese milk advert. That's it. It was a Chinese milk advert, right? Peter Phillips, the late Queen's grandson, he was advertising Jersey milk, which was broadcast in China. Okay, so not a weird
weird Chinese milk, fucking Chinese milk with the hoisin top or something.
Is there Chinese milk? Aren't they all like lactose intolerant?
Yes. You can that's why you'll never find dairy on a Chinese menu.
Yeah, but why are they selling milk, advertising milk in China?
We need to get to the bottom of this, don't we? This has become a bigger story all of a sudden.
So basically, he was using his royal family connections to sell milk, and everyone was just saying that, he's basically an idiot for this. This isn't what the royal family are for. They're not there to advertise any random things. It's all very carefully curated. And as he pointed out, we don't, that's the whole thing about the monarchy. We don't want them to be like regular celebs. We want them to be a little bit above us and aloof. We want to aspire to look like Kate Middleton, even though we never will. But I think, going back to the coronation, I think we had the cut price, smart Tesco Point coronation, but I think, I think you have to go full pomp and ceremony, really, don't you? That's what we do the best. We do that, and that's why Asian weddings are shit when it's just one day. You just go to the mosque and sign a contract and say, I do. It's just so boring. It takes takes the fun out of everything. I mean, it's it's a lot of money to spend on a wedding, but it's got to be done, Stephen. It's got to be done. You need all that gold and finery.
Go hard or go home.
Stupid headwear.
All right, but so what we were talking about? So we were talking about the anti-monarchy, the police overreach. Yeah, so people who were so like looking at it this way. So I'm a Republican. I'm against monarchy in principle and practice. I think it's silly hats. Nepotism, hereditary wealth, power, privilege, all the things the left are supposed to hate. And people should be perfectly within their right to protest this sort of thing when it plays out in public, which the coronation very much did. People were also protesting at the Queen's funeral. You can say it's distasteful, whatever, but it was a public procession. And if you can't protest the royals in public, if you can't protest monarchy, then you don't really have the right to protest, is my default position on this. And
absolutely.
We saw a number of arrests, didn't we, at the coronation. A couple of them were preempted. Anti-monarchy groups preparing to go and protest were arrested and held for hours by the police.
Apparently the Home Office sent official warning letters to anti-monarchists to point out, the new criminal offences under the Public Order Act, which is just ridiculous.
And this is from me, somebody who thinks, in general, protests are a bit daft, and the kind of people who spend their life protesting are kind of weird people in general who I don't like to spend time around.
They are. They like the Just Stop Oil protesters. You just know that they've probably got like a little allotment somewhere to keep them busy. They grow their own like shitty veg, and they've got green hair. They don't shower as often as they should.
Exactly, but we don't think they should be pinched and dragged off the street by the police.
No, they should just
exercising their democratic rights. Yeah, they should just go home and have a shower, essentially. But they should be able to protest, and I fully support their rights. And I am concerned about the police doing this because, one day it's the monarchy and you might support the monarchy, and the next day it could be something else. If they have the powers to do this for one thing, they have the powers to do this for anything. So we should be very, very suspicious and concerned about state overreach when people are trying to exercise their democratic rights to protest. But what's interesting is, and this is from The Guardian, the headline reads, "Membership of anti-monarchy group Republic," that's the name of them, "almost doubles in wake of coronation arrest." So this is another data point to me of the fact that when you attempt to censor people, not only is it at best ineffective, but at worst, it's counterproductive, because these people being arrested from demonstrating in the cause of their group Republic has seen their membership double.
Yeah, it's really done a lot of damage to the monarchy brand, really. The look the monarchy can't handle any criticism. They should have just let these people protest, and no one would have really done that much about it. Whereas now everyone's like, oh, okay, so now they're silencing us, they're not letting us protest, they're anti-democratic too. And it just you can't really it's hard to argue with that then.
Yeah, I agree. I do think the police may have said it's regrettable. I think there's going to be an investigation. I don't agree with much of what Sadiq Khan says on anything, but he came out very strongly to say there should be a full investigation, and he condemned the actions of the police.
Well, even broken clock is right.
That's it.
I mean, Sadiq Khan, just don't get me started.
Yeah, that's two facts today. If you're
it rains in London, and they get minor floods, and he goes on and on about climate change and this is what global warming's doing. No, it's because the drain needs clearing. Just fucking do something about that.
There was there's a lot of people. I don't know if you saw this, but Right Said Fred, one of them bald fuckers, I'm not sure which one it was having a go at Sadiq Khan, saying he's basically, because he's a Muslim, he doesn't understand ABS. It was basically just bigotry, plain standard anti-Muslim bigotry. And there's a load of people very angry and suspicious at Sadiq Khan solely because he's a Muslim, which to me, his Muslim faith seems to play so very little in anything he does. The problem with Sadiq Khan for me is not that he's a Muslim, it's just that he's a very wet, bog standard, boilerplate, far lefty pillock. I mean, it doesn't scream Islamist when you're marching with pride, does it?
His daughters were in a photo shoot with him and they were wearing short skirts. I mean, if he's an Islamist, he's a really shit boy.
Yeah, he's playing the long game, isn't he, for sure?
A really long game. Well, his daughters aren't playing the long game.
They're playing the very short game, a very short game. I'm just going to Google that picture, actually. But he also tweeted out the other day that London's fell down the rankings, apparently, in LGBTQ r/www.forward/ queer gender rights, basically. And I kind of asked, what rights are they missing? What rights have been what rights have been stripped away all of a sudden? Which you can never get a straight answer on. And it's like he's a bog standard far lefty loon. That's his problem. It's not about him being a Muslim at all, but it is just a shame that there is that aspect to it of people that just it really delegitimizes your criticism of him when there are people just screaming at him because he's a brown Muslim. And it's like,
there's nothing to do with that. He's just A, he's a short ass, and B, he's just really incompetent.
He's not very bright. He doesn't strike me as very bright.
He just doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Just clear the streets. I mean, I'm sick of going out and smelling weed everywhere I go in London. And he's made transport expensive, and then he's telling everyone, "Oh, use public transport," when you've made it expensive, and also you've introduced the ULEZ scheme, which makes it difficult for anyone to drive. Then, so you're screwed either way. No wonder people just want to work from home and not travel anywhere.
Hang on a second. You know when I just made that little quip about Googling the picture of him and his daughters? How old are his daughters before I decide whether or not I'm going to cut that out?
They're adults.
Okay. I just had a moment there. I thought, okay, that's not going to translate well if it's like his 6-year-old kids and making... Yeah, all right. Phew, okay.
No, trust me, I would have. You would have
got my back on that, yeah?
I've got your glass back on that.
Got my glass back. Right. Talking of glass backs and bikes, do you think it's worth finishing up with this, red hot topic on the internet at the minute of the New York City bike Karen, as she's been unfavorably dubbed? Have you dipped into this?
I did. So this is the pregnant nurse in New York. She's a white nurse, and she was basically accused of taking a city bike. Is it a bit like a Boris bike? These city
something
bikes?
Like that, a bit more high tech. It's got like a docking station and a QR code and shit. They're way ahead of us, New York.
Yeah, basically she was confronted by a gang of black men, or was it just one black man?
At least 3 of them.
Right. Okay. We can say
black
gang.
Youths.
Yeah, so this from what I can tell, this poor woman was approached by a group of youths who happened to be black, and they said that she had taken their bike from them,
and they filmed this. One of the group were filming all this at the time.
I mean, I haven't seen the video. I don't know if you have, but apparently she shouts help in this.
Yeah.
And then she was also called a racist. And then she, I think was her job on the line as well because of this.
What happened after this is every race baiting fanatic in the USA spread this video all over the internet, outright called her a white supremacist, framed this entire thing as a racist altercation.
They called her a racist Karen.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to me because there is no racial epithets mentioned in the video. This just plays out like an altercation, and one of millions of altercations that no doubt occur across the planet per day. The problem is here is optically, given how deranged the USA is on race relations, they have seen black people, black kids or black lads, white woman, and thought, we'll make something up because that's the world we live in now. So the only thing I can really see where they are trying to claim a racial component is the fact that she's calling for help. Now, their rationale is if you're shouting for help around black people, there's a chance you may create a scenario where they're then shot by the police.
Okay, you know what? No, sorry.
Yeah.
First of all, she was pregnant.
6 months?
She is pregnant. 6 months pregnant. Secondly, you're approached by 3 men, right? You, as a woman, right, and as a pregnant woman, you're already feeling vulnerable as it is.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
She just done a 12-hour shift as well.
and she did a 12-hour shift, so she's actually working for a living. Fuck knows what they were up to in their lives, and then they just decide to come up and tell her that she's stealing their bike, and she clearly has a receipt to show for it. You know, so how can you then claim that she's just playing on racial tropes, so she's a racist? She's a pregnant woman who's just surrounded by 3 men. She's outnumbered. You know, she probably would have felt vulnerable even with one guy trying to start an argument with her. Imagine having 3 men on you. You just, you know, it's not an easy situation to be in. And, you know, as a woman, I can, you know, relate to that. And I know, you know, I can sympathize with her and imagine exactly what it's like to be in that situation. But thankfully, I think they've started some sort of crowdfunder for her, haven't they? I just hope she hasn't lost her job over this, because, I mean, this is just what happens now, doesn't it? You know, trial by social media. I thought people had got over this, you know, that, you know, wait for the full facts and the semi-skimmed facts and, you know, before making any decision. But it just seems like
full fat Chinese milk.
Chinese milk. you know, it's just ridiculous how people can just lose their job over something that appears on social media. What happened to, you know, finding out what exactly has happened before making a decision? But people just think, oh, outrage on Twitter, oh, we need to do something right now. No, you don't. No, you don't.
What's crazy is, though, and this is the climate that's been created, that we're told to believe in white privilege. I, as a white man, apparently are overprivileged in these situations and get away with far more than anyone else would due to the privilege of my white skin. I don't entirely discount that idea, you know, depending on how far you take it. I think it does explain some things, but as a catch-all explanation, it doesn't work. However,
I mean, if you tried to choke me in jiu-jitsu, I would pull you from your white privilege.
Just scream racism. No, but here's the thing. So if I'm caught in an altercation with people that just happen to be non-white, and I'm filmed doing this, and the altercation has nothing to do with skin color whatsoever. There's no animosity about skin color, no comments about skin color, no targeting about skin color. If that's put on the internet, I have to work backwards from the assumption that I'm a racist based on nothing. My attempts to destroy my life will be successful based on the sole fact that I am white, having a disagreement with non-white people. This is how the modern anti-racist left works now. Just by having a disagreement and it being documented on film with someone who's non-white, I will have my life destroyed. Whereas if you reverse them variables, the same thing doesn't apply. So where's my white privilege in that situation where it must be assumed that like human beings fall out over all sorts of things all the time. The laws of probability suggest at some point I'll have a disagreement with somebody who's non-white. I'm sure I have before. But now, given the current climate, it is assumed by default in the court of public opinion that I am a racist, and that's the only explanation for what is unfolding. And that's a very scary precedent, and I think people are getting a little bit pissed off with it. And I think the only way to fight back is in the courts now. I just think, fine, if you're going to defame me or libel me as a white supremacist or as a racist, we'll see how the evidence tots up in court. I fully support that.
I mean, it's just, I mean, the fact that, you know, all I want to add to this is that, you know, the fact that people now just assume racism, I think, is just an indication of how racist they probably are.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, you're glad as the POC said it.
Left it up to you there, yeah.
You recognised your white privilege.
I did. I realised there's only so far I can travel here with my pasty complexion.
But it's It's true though. I mean, if you know, if you think, oh, can't argue with someone because they're a different skin color to me, that just goes to show you your own bigotry, your own racism. If you see someone arguing with white person arguing with a non-white person, and you think, oh, it's immediately because they're racist. Well, that says more about you than it does about them.
That's how they get away with it, though. They make snap judgments based on skin color, which is racist. However, they try and marshal their judgments under the guise of anti-racism, which provides some sort of cover when there's no cover at all there for me. So, luckily, the truth's starting to come out about this woman. Now, some of the chief drum bangers about this have been made aware of the receipts the lawyers have provided in terms of, I mean, the official story from the lawyers is she's finished her shift. She's wandered over to this bike. She scanned it out. She's removing it from the dock. And apparently the one or more of these group of lads have pushed the bike back on the dock while she's on it. Now, what that does is that then registers it as free in the system as if you've checked it back in. So she's got receipts to show that she's checked it out and then it got checked back in a minute later. And then what they've done, according to her lawyers, is then covered up the QR code to stop her checking it out again. So it seems like they wanted the bike.
That just shows you what absolute pricks these people are, to do something like that in the first place and to do it to a pregnant woman. You're absolute fucking scum.
It's crazy because even on the face of it, we have to believe that some 6-month pregnant nurse has finished a 12-hour shift at a New York hospital and decided, you know what, I'm going to go and steal a bike off some black lads. That's what I'm going to do.
A bike, I'm 6 months pregnant. Jesus, I mean, kudos to her. I struggle to balance on one in normal circumstances.
How deranged do you have to be to run with that as your default interpretation of the situation? Sans any sort of evidence for start. But what's really interesting to see is like the chief cheerleaders of her execution online have been made aware now that yes, she has provided receipts by. Lawyers have shown them to the news outlets, even like a very liberal platform like NBC's confirming they've corroborated and seen these receipts as well. However, the people that the chief instigators of this are just doubling down. They're saying, well, it doesn't really matter whether or not it's irrelevant now whether or not the bike was hers or not. It's the way she reacted and responded, which is the problem here. So we're in a situation now where 3 grown, I mean, I don't know how old they were, but they looked like they were young adults.
Yeah, they look young, yeah.
Yeah, young adults, but still post-puberty.
They look basically old enough to fucking know better.
Exactly, that's a perfect description. So they can surround and harass and film a clearly distressed pregnant woman, take away a bike she paid for, and they can have people defend them online for this. This is an insane situation to me. So it'd be interesting to see how it plays out in the court, because I've got a feeling we're going to get a lot of defamation cases now. I think it's going to be we saw it with the Covington kids, didn't we? How they were smeared online, how they took legal action and won. So I just feel sorry for her, because it doesn't matter what she does now, how much she proves her innocence. She's going to be the white supremacist bike Karen.
Oh God!
Can you imagine?
I mean, speaking of racism, I came across this story in the Telegraph.
The bloody Torygraph.
Torygraph. I mean, it reads like a satire, and I'm wondering if it is a real story now, because it kind of sounds like the shit that you make up on Twitter. Basically, the Theatre Royal Stratford East, right, in East London, has urged white people not to attend a play.
Racist.
Arguing that its audience should be free from the white gaze. So, I don't know if you've heard of this, but they're saying that white visitors should not come and watch a performance of Tambo and Bones. So they're
I wasn't going to, but
they're two black guys who are doing a performance of race satire. Oh, the irony. I mean, it's delicious, isn't it? Basically, the organisers say they're hosting the one-off blackout event to create a safe, private space for an all-black identifying audience. That's it. Just go in and identify as black, Stephen, to explore race-related issues.
And it's in the UK?
This is East London.
Well, it contravenes the Equality Act, so they should be sued into oblivion.
It says, while the theatre's website stated that no one is excluded, promotional material made it clear that white theatre goers are not welcome. So I mean, for fuck's sake, why do you need a safe space to discuss racism?
There is no arguing with these people anymore, and they want to reinstitute racial segregation wherever they can. Let them fight in the courts. That's it. These people are so far gone. You cannot explain to them. You can't even introduce them to a little bit of Martin Luther King. Perhaps that's a racist microaggression now to invoke Martin Luther King if you're white, even though he was right. But take them to the courts now. That's my view on it. If you're going to push racist policies, whether it's anti-black, anti-white, anti-Asian, anti anything else, take them to the courts. That's my opinion. I've had enough of these fuckers. There's that. Do you think we've got time to go through some Twitter questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
What we got? Oh, so Sam Wendell's asked, AI, that's artificial intelligence, existential risk, ? They've tweeted an article from New Atlas with a stat that says 50% of artificial intelligence researchers believe there's a 10% or greater chance that humans go extinct from our inability to control AI. What do you think? Scared of computers?
I mean, the whole AI thing is quite a conundrum, especially for modern warfare. You know, it's easier to cyber hack now because of it. And a lot of jobs will go because of AI.
Hopefully in diversity and inclusion departments.
Oh my God, can you imagine? Can you imagine how an AI would...
Have we had the AI is racist article yet? Someone surely published that.
I think I've seen that somewhere.
I'm behind the curve on that then, clearly.
You are, Stephen. It's a hard one to say. I mean, it sounds like one of those apocalyptic movies, doesn't it? How robots took over and machines took over and destroyed humanity. I mean, it.
Here's what's interesting to me about that, though, because there are all, with the advance of new technology, there is always a moral panic, and it tends to come from the general population or commentators. What worries me about AI is that the people who know the most about AI are the most concerned about AI. So that gives me pause for concern. It's not some sort of conservative parent saying we'll all go blind if we spend too much time in front of the TV, or it'll lead to, you know, the Antichrist if we have too much social media or whatever. It's people who work in and design AI are saying this is fucking scary. We need to be careful here. So that worries me a little bit. I don't understand it enough, to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't understand it enough. I mean, I get the fact that it's essentially a way of creating computation on a mass level in short period of time, something that humans are incapable of doing themselves. And then again, this has the ability for AI eventually, or the fear is certainly that they will become self-aware and then send back Michael Biehn to 1984 to protect Sarah Connor from a T1, because John Connor's, oh no, that's the plot of Terminator, isn't it? I've gone off piste.
And I obviously
you got all those references, didn't you? Yeah, you were right with me. And then RoboCop. I honestly don't know enough about this. I'd be glad, or very pleased to interview an expert on AI just to get a bit of a primer.
I think, yeah, you know what? I think it'd be great to know a little bit more about this. But you'd think that people who program this would know enough to stop that from happening. But if you're saying that the people who know a lot about it or are behind it are scared themselves, then that really is quite worrying.
I think, I think the fear is, from my very layman's understanding of the situation, is the concern is that at some point AI is going to tip over into a position where it's not, I don't know if self-aware is the word, but it can replicate itself and it can work independently and make decisions in its own self-interest. And if it becomes uber smart and uber clever, it might just think, why do we need these sacks of walking meat bags around? And if we are using AI to run everything, which we will, because why not? It raises some very huge security questions for sure.
But it is quite. I mean, there's so many rapid developments in technology. You just don't know what's going to happen even within the next year. I mean, before, it would take sort of like years, maybe decades or anything to happen. But it's just, all of it is happening so quickly. Maybe we could send in an AI or a bot to, kill Putin.
Maybe, unless he is an AI or a bot. I think we actually had a question about shit tin. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. So Michael Lowry has asked, how about discussing the people who defiantly continue to take Putin's side in his war on Ukraine or find excuses to blame the West? Yeah, it's a weird one, this. And I see it from the hard left and I see it from the conservative right. I interviewed.
Yeah, it's not a left or a right issue. It's like we were saying before. If you believe in one conspiracy, you're gonna believe in all of them. And I've noticed usually the conspiracy theorists tend to believe in take Putin's side for whatever reasons.
Yeah, I think the hard left have a very tough time accepting the fact that sometimes the USA isn't responsible for wars. So when they look at Putin, I mean, I was interviewing Chris Hedges about this a while back, a famous left-wing author, and I couldn't really get him to say that Russia were wrong to invade Ukraine. He kept coming back to the fact that America were to blame for A, B, and C, or the UN or whatever have caused this situation, or they should have done this before and they haven't. Whereas to me, it's quite clear that there's no justifiable reason for Russia to invade Ukraine, and the only way that war will come to an end or should come to an end is if there is the complete and unequivocal retreat of Russia from Ukraine or complete and total defeat of Russia from Ukraine and its allies. That seems fairly clear cut to me. I can't see the justification for it, but I mean, the right, the conservative right in America, I think they've been stung by years of failed adventures, shall we say, in Afghanistan and Iraq, and I think they just don't want anything to do with it whatsoever.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are sort of just, like anti-US, anti-UK. So they have to be completely fucking reactionary and think, oh yeah, let's support, oh yeah, I'm going to take Russia's side against because, fuck the USA. And you just think, do you really want, a dominant Russia in the world? Do you really think you'd be better off living somewhere like Russia? I don't bloody think so. I mean, it's all right for you sitting there in front of your fucking computer in, Basingstoke or wherever, but, go try and live in Moscow.
Yeah.
Right? And see how you can criticize your own government there. You should be okay. I know we were talking about how police are going around randomly arresting protesters, but we still have, we
have a while to go before we're Russia. Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because we're quite an open democracy in terms of the flow of information. Don't get me wrong; the information will be suppressed, things will be hidden from us, definitely. But the scale at which places like Russia engage in this sort of thing is next level, to the point where any information coming out of the Kremlin, I don't trust at all. This is a fucking state that will send people to the UK to poison somebody and not think twice about it.
Hey, they were sightseeing. They wanted to see the cathedral.
Yeah, of course, the famous
Stephen.
church. Yeah, I forgot we were doing facts.
I mean, everyone's talking about Russia and Ukraine right now, but what I really want to know, Stephen, is what went wrong with Phil and Holly on this morning.
We have to be very careful here. We need to see if we can dial Gordon the Gopher in to give us the down low. Yeah, you can't. There's a lot of conjecture, conspiracy, rumor, accusations going around about Britain's best love TV couple. So we'll see how that plays out for sure. Look at us both like, I'm not getting sued. Are you getting sued? You're not getting sued. All right, then let's leave it there. What else have we got? Go on. What were you going to say?
No, I was just reading a question. I think, there was one about the anti-child mutilation themes in the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Right, not seen it. Don't think I'll see it.
I've seen it. That's from Gav Patel. Now, I didn't pick up on anything like that in the movie. The movie, if you can pick up on anything in the movie, it seems to be one big theme against animal cruelty. I think even Peter, who that doesn't, PETA, who doesn't like anything as far as I can see, and just exists to annoy people, actually praised the movie for shedding a light on the themes of animal testing, animal cruelty, animal enslavement. It's quite a touching movie for a comic book film. It's quite dark as well. I was like, it's a 12 or a PG-13 if you're in the States. But I was thinking, like, if young kids going to see that, I'll probably leave very traumatized and upset. Good.
Right.
So good.
NHSGC Guy has asked, Oxford Uni students needing mental health support because of Kathleen Stock coming to an Oxford Uni event. And this is Kathleen Stock, who's very sort of against the whole gender ideology dogma. Two words to those students: grow up.
Yeah, I've read her book. She's brilliant. She's one of the leading voices on this from the beginning. She's been through a very tough time academically because of her views, which are perfectly normal, compassionate, reasonable, rational. She knows what she's talking about. What's interesting, again, about this one for me is it's not the actual college that are imposing these things, really, in terms of what students think are acceptable. It's the students themselves now. Students used to be of the mind, fuck the man. I will say what I want. I will hear what I want. I will read what I want, and you will not tell me otherwise. Something very freeing about that radical, youthful idealism, and I think it's healthy. Now it's the other way around. The students are saying, actually, that book's to be banned. That speaker can't come here. You must not use those words on campus anymore, and we will decide the limits of debate. And I just think it's stifling young minds. You should be made uncomfortable by new ideas when you're younger. Otherwise, you're going to be useless when you get older. It's just simple.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been there as students. You kind of think you know it all because young people are pricks. Let's face it.
Yep.
Now we're wise and in our 30s. We do know it all for sure.
Sure.
And I get it. You have strong views, whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. But to then enforce your views on others and insist that there's no debate to be had on your campus, like, you don't own the fucking campus. And secondly, I just remember, I was a student and, in my 20s as well, I was constantly, I thought I knew what I believed about a certain topic. And, I was constantly meeting new people who would, I'd say borderline offend me sometimes about my views and the way I thought. And, at first I thought, God, how offensive, that's horrible. But then, as I thought about it, it made me realize, wait, why is it that I think this way? Is it because I've done a lot of research on this and I've come to this conclusion? Or is it just because I was brought up a certain way and I had to believe, X, Y, and Z and not really question anything? What happens if I do question it? So for me, it was, great sort of constantly learning new ideas. And, I just think, why would you limit yourself when you're young as well? That's the time when you should be. I mean, yeah, I'm still even learning right now.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, that just demonstrates you are open to expanding your, intellectual capacity for sure.
And how awesome we are.
It's just, we're just fucking amazing. But I think it's worth reiterating at this point what these people are claiming they need mental health services for. I mean, she doesn't want to come to the college campus and start stalking people in the corridors with a fucking rifle. She's not asking to sacrifice kittens on the stage. There's a danger apparently that she wants to turn up there and make noises with her mouth near a microphone for people that choose to come and listen. That's it. That's the thing that is so triggering to these people. That's insane to me, that the idea of somebody with a different view talking and saying their different views is so triggering to you. You require mental health issues. Now, I think obviously we should be compassionate about people with mental health issues, but we don't reorder the entire society around these mental health issues. We don't jettison the ideas of public debate, free speech. We can't. If you're triggered by something, you have to work on that.
Look, if you've genuinely been through an actual trauma, like say, for example, as a woman you've been raped or assaulted,
yeah,
then you're going to be triggered by certain things. That's understandable, and I have sympathy with that. I really do. But what exactly are you triggered by, Tarquin from Reading with green hair?
she might
what are you
say that.
triggered by?
She might say that women don't have penises.
They might say.
They might say.
They
might say.
It's gendering here.
Oh yeah. So I don't know. I mean, what's great anyway, at least. So now, I mean, I don't know if you remember a while back, the government enacted that free speech bill, didn't they? I don't know if they enacted or proposed it, but universities and
Online
campuses.
bills and harm. Oh, well, the
not the bad one, the good one. Oh yeah, they're a contradictory mess. The Tories on free speech for sure. I'll grant you that. But they basically there is a bill now where there is a level of freedom of expression that must be upheld at college campuses now. It was in response to a lot of no platforming. So they can't no platform anymore, I don't think. So now they're resorted to saying, I'm so emotionally damaged by this. You are hurting me. It's essentially violence, is what they're saying. But can you imagine Kathleen Stock? I don't know if you ever. I would recommend anyone take a moment now to go on YouTube and Google. And look up Kathleen Stock and the numerous media appearances she's had. Very eloquent, very smart, calm. Compassionate language, understands all our areas of the argument. If you can't hear her speak about the issue, then nobody can speak on this issue. Have we nailed it? Have we completed it?
We have. We're ready for our geese now.
Gee time. It's been a pleasure.
Until next time.
Don't choke me out. Right.